How's it going, guys? Welcome back, and I hope you're doing well. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go over why I think you should give Shadow Strike a shot. Now, before we get into it, as some of you may know, I do like to do unscripted content. So if it does get a little long-winded, I will post the chapters down below for easy navigation. So other than that, one more thing before we get into the skill is that I know I don't post too many skills that, like videos of skills that I think are more intuitive to understand or easier to see why it's a good skill or the ease of use that it could provide, the way that you could apply it into your play style that would be effective. But for this one, I did want to make an exception just because, again, I think that Shadow Strike is a pretty easy to understand skill. However, I do also understand that, as a more experienced player with as many hours as I have in the game, I'm sure that there's probably an audience out there that may not see the utility of the skill and how important that it can be. As well as with this skill in particular, the way that it is worded, the description in the game, in my opinion, is not very good, and it's not really accurate. Now, I will go over that in a second, but I just want to get that out there. So, on that, let's get into our skill. So, Shadow Strike. So, the first tier of Shadow Strike, it's just a quick double attack on your enemy. Quick 2 slashes with your spear. It costs 1 Fury point or Spirit point, and additional points in the skill give you increased damage. Now, the second tier of the skill, you nullify damage. You gain the ability to nullify damage, and it's a very similar activation time than Gust for the dual wield enjoyers out there. So if you're familiar with Gust, Shadow Strike is pretty much plug and play. They can be put on the same input, right, and use it in, for the most part, the same situations. Another thing to note about Shadow Strike, important note, is that you can nullify all damage. So you can nullify, regular strikes, you can nullify burst attacks with it, and you can nullify grabs, which is really, really nice, right? So if you're about to get grabbed and you have no stamina, you can go ahead and you can pop a Shadow Strike, and you're good to go. When you do nullify damage, you pierce through the enemy, which counts as a hit, and then you hit them an additional time in their back for backstab damage. Now, the third tier of the skill, this is the kind of the issue I have with the description. So, it reads, upon nullifying an attack with Shadow Strike, you gain increased damage, that's a nice damage buff, and increased duration on all temporary effects acquired while using a spear. So, the reason why I have an issue with this wording is because increased duration can mean a couple things. It can mean, if I were to read this, I could think, okay, well, increased duration, maybe that means increased max duration. So as an example, a temporary effect that we get while using the spear is Moonlight Stance. Base Moonlight Stance duration is 15 seconds. So in this example, one may think, oh, okay, well, maybe it just adds a flat amount of max duration. So maybe my Moonlight Stance lasts for 20 seconds rather than 15. Okay, I could understand why you would think that because of the way it reads. By reading increased duration, you may also think, oh, well, maybe that's a flat amount of duration. So let's say my max duration is 15 seconds. I'm fighting, rather than reset my Moonlight Stance completely by just doing another Moonlight Stance attack. Maybe I get down to 5 seconds and I hit Shadow Strike and I gain a flat amount for whatever, just another 5 seconds. So now I go from 15 seconds max, I've been fighting, I get down to 5 seconds, I hit a Shadow Strike, and now maybe I get a flat 5 seconds back or whatever. I could also think why you would think that, right? But in reality, what this actually does, and this is why I'm not a fan of the wording, it actually refreshes the duration on all temporary effects. I had a conversation about this a while ago in the Khazan Discord because the wording was really tripping me up. I didn't, it just didn't make sense, right? The way I was wording it. And it could just be, right, that, I've played, I feel like in video games as a whole, right, for the gamers out there, maybe you play, a bunch of different genres, whatever. When it does this, I think that refreshes would have been the appropriate wording here, because that would more accurately describe what it does. So long story short, let's say, you have your max duration 15 seconds Moonlight Stance, you're fighting. Maybe you also popped Phantom Heat Wave as well, so that's 2 buffs, right? You're fighting. You don't have time, or you don't have spirit to initiate Phantom Heat Wave to refresh that buff, or you don't feel like using your Moonlight Stance attack, right? Your third in the Swift attack. What you can do is you can nullify damage with Shadow Strike, and you can refresh all of your temporary effects simultaneously. Extremely good. So Shadow Strike as a whole, definitely an S tier skill for the spear. I never take this skill off when I'm using the spear. So if I get like Furious Drive or something from my gear set, whatever the case, I would never take this off. Even though Furious Drive also negates damage, Shadow Strike is very, very valuable with the utility that it provides. So one more thing to note actually is while leveling, it's decent, right? It's not bad, the quick double slash, but there is a little bit of a startup time with it. The activation frames, I should note, are good, but when you activate it, as you can see, without nullifying damage, there's a little bit of a window, and you can see in the video here, little small description. It's not instant, the move, right? The activation time is good, but you don't hit your opponent until about half a second after you activate it. Now, while leveling, because we want to start using Trance, right? And in the beginning, until you really unlock the ability to use the spear really freely, in the last tier of Trance, you have to use it after a spirit skill. So I personally like getting After Image Thrust as my first spirit skill to chain into Trance. And I personally don't really use Shadow Strike until I gain the ability to nullify damage, because that way you're going to create some more muscle memory, right? And you don't like accidentally use it thinking you can when you can't, etc. All right, so guys, that's all I really have about Shadow Strike. Actually, I could say one more important thing to note. It does count as a brink dodge, so if you do have any type of brink dodge benefits, you're going to go ahead and get those. If you have lightning on brink dodge with Crushed Dreams, or if you have some type of stamina back on brink dodge, you're going to go ahead and you're going to get that when you use this skill. So it's very nice, very nice. And all for 1 spirit point, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. So yeah, all right, guys, that's all I got for Shadow Strike. Get in there, enjoy that skill, use it, get everything you can out of it. It's very good, very, very good. So I got for Shadow Strike, and I have 3 fights for you today. 3 fights for you. So I hope you enjoy those. And last but not least, I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who's been watching the channel. Thank you to everyone who's been stopping by the Twitch stream. It's been a fun time. I enjoy interacting with everybody. So, yes, quick thank you to you guys. It's a fun time. It's a fun time. Definitely make the stream enjoyable. You guys making content enjoyable on YouTube, so I appreciate that. So, yeah, guys, that's all I got. That's all I got. I hope you enjoy the fights, and I will see you in the next one for a great sword video.